Dear Santa, I don't know if you're real or not, but I'm begging you to bring me a doll for Christmas. If you don't bring me a doll, I will have to ask the devil for it. That was a lot. So there was a lady named Anna, and this happened to her when she was 8 years old back in the 80s. She says that at the time she lived in Mexico with her mom, dad, and her grandmother. At the time, they didn't have a lot of money and they lived in a very poor neighborhood. Sometimes they didn't even have enough money for the most basic things that they needed at home. She remembers that it was around the holiday season and she would see a lot of kids out in the street, playing with their new toys and things that are being gifted to them. Even at the age of 8 years old, she knew that she wasn't gonna get anything for Christmas. She knew that her family didn't have enough money to buy gifts. But even with no hope in the world, she still wrote her letter to Santa Claus on the 24th of December. Dear Santa, I don't know if you're real or not, but I'm begging you to bring me a doll for Christmas. If you don't bring me that doll, I will have to ask the devil for it. She says that in her innocence, she thought that by threatening Santa Claus, it would motivate him to bring her the doll that she really wanted. She said that that night they had a family dinner, they ate, and they went to bed. But right before she went to her bedroom, she said that she looked at that Christmas tree and she just begged it to have a gift when she woke up in the morning. The next morning when she woke up, the first thing she did was run to that Christmas tree and she stood there in shock. She couldn't believe it, and in that very moment she screamed so loud that her grandmother and her parents came running into the living room thinking something had happened. But her scream was of happiness because under the Christmas tree there was a box, and inside that box was a doll. The doll was just as big as her, and it was the most beautiful doll she had ever seen, and she just remembers how her parents and grandmother were looking at her and they were just so happy because she got a doll for Christmas. She said that day was one of the happiest days of her life, but it was only because she didn't know the hell that they were about to go through. As time went on, she started to notice really weird, strange things about the doll. At nighttime, she would always place the doll in the box that it came in because she didn't want it to get dirty. However, every time she would wake up, the doll would be sitting in a chair at the end of her bed. I already have chills. She says that one day her entire family went out and they were coming back home. And when the door opened, every single person saw when the doll ran from the living room all the way to her bedroom. Oh my god, I have goosebumps. Can you imagine? Like every single one of her grandma, her mom, her dad, they all saw the doll run to her room. In that moment, out of pure terror, her mom fainted and fell to the ground. And her grandmother just started praying. She was also terrified of what she had just seen. In that moment, they can hear where things were falling and breaking inside her bedroom. The dad, with all the courage he had, decided to go in there and check it out. What the dad saw when he walked into her bedroom was the doll sitting in that same chair and everything in her room just destroyed. That same night, the grandmother confessed to her parents that on December 24th, she took all the money she had, which was only 30 pesos, and she was on a mission to buy a gift for her granddaughter. She was having no luck finding a store or anybody that can help her until she came upon just a whole bunch of trash. And in that trash was the doll. She couldn't believe that she found the most beautiful doll just in that trash, and she ran back home to put that doll under the Christmas tree. So the following day, her parents took the doll and they went to go throw it as far away as possible from their home. Unfortunately, the next day, that doll was inside of their house again. She mentions how the next following days, her parents tried a lot of different things to try to get rid of this doll, and it would always come back to their house. But that wasn't even the worst thing, because they started to experience paranormal things in their home. They would hear footsteps. Some things would just move by themselves, and they started to hear little kids laughing. The family became desperate and they brought a witch to the house to help them. When that witch saw the doll, she told them that she did not have enough power for what they have in their house. She could not help them. However, she did tell them that that doll was possessed by a demon. She says that her mom, in the desperation to get rid of this doll, ended up going to a church that was around their neighborhood. When she got to the church, she stumbled upon a priest who was lighting up candles or incense, I think that's what she said. And she ended up telling him everything that was happening in their home, and the priest agreed that he would visit their home at nighttime that same day. The priest, his name was Ezequiel Monteverde, and told her she would go to their house at 8 p.m. And at 8 p.m. on the dot, he showed up to their home. The second that priest stepped into their home, it got so cold, it almost felt like a freezer inside of their home. The priest walks to her room, sees the doll, and tells her parents that it does not matter how many times you take the doll out, it was gonna end up coming right back. He said it was because the demon that was inside of that doll was very powerful. She said the craziest thing happened. The priest told her parents that the only way that they were gonna get rid of it was to form an exorcism on the doll in order to return the demon back to where it came from. It was the most intense thing that she had ever experienced in her life. She remembers the priest taking out the Bible, taking a cross out, and some holy water. But the priest took 2 hours in the room with the doll, and in the meantime, the lights would flicker, things were moving on their own, and there was also a point where that doll was almost like convulsing by itself. What the fuck? She remembers when the priest finally tells it one last time, "I order you to leave this doll and leave this family alone." She remembers when he said that sentence, all the lights went out. However, there was an immense sense of peace in that home. The priest also kneeled down and started praying, and then just like nothing, stood up, grabbed his Bible, holy water, the cross, and the doll, and left their home. She said that she remembers her mom running to their bedroom and getting like the littlest bit of savings that she had and attempted to give it to the priest, but he was like, "No, I don't need your money, it's okay." So the next day, the mom was so happy that everything had been peaceful in their home that she had gone to the supermarket and brought a lot of fruit. She decided to make like a fruit cup, and she was gonna go and take it to the priest just as a thank you for what he did for their family. When she got to the church, she saw another priest at the door, and she asked him where she could find the priest Ezekiel so that she can give him the fruit. However, the priest was like, "Lady, is this a joke?" And she was like, "No, I would like to give him this fruit as a thank you." And that's when the priest told her, "Lady, priest Ezekiel has been dead for over 10 years.
Have you ever heard talking or laughing or weird sounds while you're in the shower? Now, believe it or not, a lot of people have had paranormal experiences while in the shower. And I think it's because you have to understand that is when we are the most vulnerable, right? We're unclothed. We are not really focused on anything. And we sort of can't see anything around us. And I think when you have an encounter in the bathroom, it's usually something negative. Now, this is a story that comes out of Chicago. There was this young girl who lived with her roommate, and she said one day she's at the house, she's taking a shower, and said all of a sudden as she's washing her hair, she sees a hand come around the curtain, and it's like moving. And she thinks this is her roommate who's just like messing around with her, so she starts slapping the hand and is like, "Stop it, get out of here, I'm trying to shower." And when she gets out of the shower and goes to see like what her roommate wanted or what she was doing, she realizes her roommate isn't even home. So she, is like, okay, that was really weird. Like maybe I don't know, was imagining. About 2 weeks later, she once again is in the shower. And as she's taking a shower, she can see the shape of a man standing behind the shower curtain. And, she's terrified. Like, I don't know what to do. What do I do in this situation? So she grabs the shower curtains and pulls them over, and there's no one there. Several other times, she would be in the shower and she would hear someone talking, or she would get the feeling that someone was touching her back, and she would look around and there was no one there. So this kept happening, and she, wondered why is this happening to me? And why doesn't my roommate ever experience this? Until one day she's going out of her house and she talks to the neighbor. And the neighbor says, there used to be a young guy who lived here, and he dated a girl that looked just like you. And it's crazy. The young guy, he was in the shower, he slipped and fell, hit his head, and passed away.
Guys, buckle up! Guess who has a crazy story time for y'all? Me. Okay, so this was like my class crush. Your girl makes one in every class, like, unless I'm booed up, but like, it's fine. But it's supposed to stay a class crush. Well, it didn't. So I could kind of tell this boy, like, the tension was there. I'm very intuitive, and I could just feel it in my balls that okay, I could just feel it. So then one day he starts walking me out of class, and I'm like, I'm also really bad at talking to men, like in person. Like, I get real nervous, okay? Like, I'll get comfortable, but I'm nervous. So it went fine. He was a nice guy, whatever. He was pushing hard, okay? Pushing hard to take me on a date. So I finally, because like I had said no multiple times. He asked me to go to coffee after class. I said no. Sue me. I wasn't feeling like it. So then he was like, he planned a whole date for us, got me like my favorite snack, so endearing, so cute. He went to like the lake. Everything was like fine. He was like very respectful of my boundaries at the time. And we had like damn near every single class together because we were in business together. And so they like put you in little like groups of like 20, and he was in my group. So then he came over to help me with my homework. Genuinely, I couldn't do this thing called ISIS. Oh my gosh, that thing is a demon, okay? And it went fine. Like, we just did our homework, hung out, talked. It was giving friend vibes. It was cool. So my dumbass trusts people real fast. So I invite him another time. And this time's different, okay? And I'm busy doing homework. I deadass had so much homework, but he was like low-key kind of begging to come over. So I was like, okay, it's fine. My roommate's gone. It's not going to make anyone uncomfortable. Whatever. He can come and chill while I do my homework. I'm doing my homework, and what do I sense? Some suction cup is going on my freaking neck. And what was it? His lips. And I'm like, ah! What? And he keeps coming up behind me, and I'm just sitting there like this. I'm not reciprocating shit. I'm going like, and I'm like typing away on my computer like, okay. So like, also I have a deadly fear of hurting people's feelings. But okay, no, but just wait, just sit down, stop standing, sit down. So this keeps going on. He keeps cycling. He's jumping on my bed, laying down for a little, and then coming back and harassing my neck, okay? And then like also just like touching up on my titty, and I'm like, okay, ho, I have an English paper to write. Stop it. So I'm just sitting there like, kind of just spooked. So then he's sitting on my bed swinging his feet, and he's like, come here, Abby. And I literally go up and I go, no, stop, you're gonna try to kiss me. No, I don't want to kiss. I clocked his shit. If I were him, I'd be like, okay, good night. Have a good night. No, I'm sitting in my chair. He pulls up a seat next to me. He takes my chin. Obviously, I know what's coming. I go, no. I'm fully forced pulling my head away from his hand. Like, I'm literally fighting his hand. Unfortunately, my head is not as strong as his hand. And he kisses me. And at this point, I'm just like, okay. And now I'm locking in so hard to my homework because I'm like, I can't stop doing homework because he was begging me to stop doing homework. No, I already said I didn't want to kiss you. I didn't even know what this man was going to possibly do. So then the whole neck kissing, like, literally, like, it was not cute. Like, it was like he was fully making out with my neck, and it was like, my lips aren't even making out with you. Why would my neck want to? Anyways, he ends up kissing me again. I don't even remember it. I remember that he kissed me again, and I think I didn't say no again, but I also didn't say yes. Well, that would be weird if I was like, yes. But it happened. I don't really remember. I was kind of blacking out. So he's begging me to come to the bed, and I'm just like, bro, no, stop. Finally, he gets the hint, and is like, you're not going to be done with your homework soon, huh? Do you want me to just leave? And I'm like, yeah. Then he asks for a goodbye kiss, and I'm like, oh, shit. So naturally, I'm like, no, I'm nervous. Stop. Like, no, now I know it's coming. He's like, fine, you're so cute. Like, you're just nervous. Shuts the door. What do? Block him. Goodbye. And then this is the kicker, because I was like, maybe I'm the problem. Like, maybe I gave him the wrong signal. Then I found out a girl was really freaked out by him, and that he lied to her about his age, saying he was like a sophomore or junior, and she was like a sophomore or junior. Oh, you're a freakazoid. Oh, you're spooky. So anyways, stay safe out there.
Can we show them the older home set?
Okay, yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Today's true scary story is the craziest story I've ever heard in my life. This story has about 1 million trigger warnings for about everything. So just so that you're aware of that, if you're sensitive, just scroll. Before we get started though, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT. The link is in my link tree in my bio, where I will be telling the full version of this story on there tonight. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, my email is in my bio. It's kaisespooky@gmail.com. Okay, Let's get started, guys. So today's submitter's name is Jackie. When Jackie was a baby, her father tried to sacrifice her to Richard Ramirez. Yes. And he also was in a cult, the mafia. He was a hitman, heavily into devil worshipping, and he was also in another organization, which I refuse to say on here. Her grandfather also bootlegged for Al Capone. So this girl's story is absolutely nuts. And actually, this is not even the worst of it. It gets exponentially worse as the story goes on. For whatever reason, Jackie's father hated her from the day she was born, and her entire family cannot figure out why this is. This upset her a lot as a younger child and still kind of does to this day, even though he's gone at this point, but she has kind of learned to live with it, especially because her father ended up leaving them when she was younger. Don't worry, we'll get into the sacrificing part later. So Jackie has dealt with paranormal stuff her entire life, but she started to actually see apparitions by the time she was like 15 or 16 years old. Started with a man in the woods near the trailer that she grew up in. Every single night when she would go to bed, she would look out her window and there would be a man in the woods, far off in the distance, just standing there staring at her house all night long. Now, she was the only person in her house that was able to see this, but her sister did see it at one point also, because I think her sister was also a little sensitive, and you will find out why. For instance, one day she came to her mother's house and she saw her mother standing on the porch, and she walks up to the porch and she says, "Hi, Mom," and her mom just sits there, says nothing. And she says again, "Hi, Mom." Mom says nothing. "Hi, Mom," gets a little bit closer this time. And the apparition just disappeared right in front of her face. Now, this would be absolutely nothing compared to what she actually experienced a little bit later on, which would traumatize her for the rest of her life. And it would traumatize me too. One day, Jackie, her sister, and her sister's kids all went to this cemetery. I'm not sure why they were there, but they went to the cemetery for some reason. They see this crypt there. I think it's called a crypt. It's like a place that you can go into where bodies are buried. Correct me if I'm wrong. Her sister decides that she wants to go inside of the crypt and she wants to take pictures. And her sister, Jackie, was like, "Absolutely, do not do that. Like, do not do that." And she actually wanted to bring her kids inside with her too. And Jackie was like, "You are not bringing those kids inside of that crypt with you. You should not be going in there anyways. It's super disrespectful and you're going to pay for this. Like, I'm telling you right now." And her sister just did it anyway. She went inside and she started taking pictures. Fast forward to later on that night, her sister gets home and she's trying to sleep in her bed when something literally grabbed her by her hair that she could not see, lift her up to the ceiling, and started attacking her. And then she's trying to scream for her husband, but her husband's not in the room and she can't scream anyways because she can't move or do anything. And then all of a sudden she starts getting these visions of her being unalived in like all these different ways. We're talking like all different ways are just all these visions are popping up in front of her. After a minute of her trying to fight, scream, do all the things she can, it all of a sudden just stops and the entity just drops her. Now, I asked Jackie what this entity looked like and she said that she didn't see her. She never saw what did it to her. She just got lifted up to the ceiling and that's what happened without her seeing anything at all except for the visions. Here's the craziest part of the sister's life, because yes, it does get crazier. So Jackie's sister's husband, best friend, unalived himself by jumping in front of a train when he was on substances. And I guess her husband was there when this happened, because as soon as it happened, he picked up some of his body parts, like, cause they were scattered everywhere. So he picks up a part of his skull and a part of his arm. He puts it in a duffel bag and he keeps it, and now has the bones in a duffel bag still currently in his office in their house. And their house is incredibly active, like incredibly active. I wonder why. Now, this type of stuff may be foreign to some people, but it is not foreign to Jackie at all. She has dealt with crazy her entire life. And remember how I told you that she could see spirits? Yeah, well, she got in contact with a medium that lived in Montana, and she's been talking to her for the past 5 years. And this medium told her some things about her life that would absolutely change her entire life. Now, the medium actually tells Jackie that her father had tried to sacrifice her as a baby to Richard Ramirez. Now, she told her this without knowing anything about him being a devil worshiper or anything about Jackie's life at all whatsoever. The medium also doesn't know that Jackie actually her whole entire life has had an obsession with Richard Ramirez, and she knows that this is bad, but she said she literally can't help it. She's constantly Googling him and like figuring out what he did, why he did it. She just doesn't understand why, and she's just fascinated by the whole thing, but not in like a good way, not like she likes it, but in like a way where she just doesn't understand it. And she doesn't understand why she's so fascinated by it. He also found out that Richard Ramirez's unaliving spree went from June of 1984 to August of 1985. Now, she was born in June of 1984 and her sister was born in August of 1985. Which is super weird. He also dated a girl that had the same name as Jackie's real name. One day, Jackie is sitting on the couch and she is just reading when all of a sudden she feels this incredibly evil presence. She knows that someone is there because she is used to this, but not anything this evil before. When right before her eyes, Richard Ramirez appears right in front of her. He looks really young here. He looks the same as he did when he got arrested. Now, she starts to freak out inside, but she's trying to remain calm on the outside. He has this shit-eating grin on his face, and she looks at him and she goes, what do you want and what could you possibly be smiling about? And he says to her, what could I possibly be smiling about? There's so much for me to be smiling about. He says, I am just thinking about all the people that I will do it again. I would do it again, and I will do it again. I will be revenge. That's what he keeps saying to her. I will be revenge. So in a shaky voice, she goes, how? You're dead. And he says, oh, I have so many followers. Do you not think that I can get someone to pick up where I left off? Because I can. And I will. Now, Jackie actually says that she sees him a lot, like a lot. So I asked her, what other things does he say to you? And she said, what he says mostly is he just talks about how he has no remorse. He has none whatsoever, and how much he wishes that he could again, and how he will do it again, and how he constantly just says, I will be revenge. It's kind of repetitive, she says, but she says that mostly he has zero remorse, and that's what she gets from him most of the time. Now we're going to skip over some parts, which they will be on my YT, but we're going to move to the fact that she actually moved from Texas to Indiana to take care of her father who was dying. So he was of COPD, lung cancer, and emphysema. I guess that's what you get when you're an incredibly evil person. I actually did ask Jackie, why did you do this after all the stuff that he had done to you in your life and the fact that he hates you? And apparently he calls her all kinds of names and still did until the day that he died. And she said, well, he still was my father, and a part of me as like a little girl still wanted his approval, which is so sad. So before her father passed away, he told her that he was seeing demons almost every single night and that they were attacking him and that these demons were terrifying looking. They were scratching him, biting him, pulling him off the bed, choking him. And he would wake up with cuts, bruises, marks all over his body all of the time. And there was nothing that they could do about it. So she asked her father, what do they look like? And he said that they were tall, very skinny. They had very long arms that came to the ground. They had wide gaping mouths, and they had these huge eyes. These demons lingered around her father until the day that he passed away. And the day that he passed away, he looked at her and her sister, and his last words were, this is your fault. And her sister was like, Dad, this isn't our fault. You did this to yourself. And then he just was gone. Now, there's a lot more to this story, you guys. And like I said, it will be on my YT. But for what I told you, what do you guys think of this? This is insane. I mean, the body parts in the bag, like, what is going on up in your head, bro? And not only that, but like, she is seeing Richard Ramirez. Like, what? Imagine seeing him every single day and then finding out that your father tried to sacrifice you to him, and then finding out all those details about the person that he dated and his killing spree and like all that stuff. What do you guys think is going on here? Do you think this is all because of her father and his devil worshipping? Or do you think that maybe she's just a sensitive on her own? Or what do you think? Like, do you think that she's fascinated with him because of what her father did? She would like to know. She is so baffled by all of this. Her whole life has been like a movie, she said, and she's been so afraid to tell anybody because she knows that no one is going to believe her. So she just wants your insight. She wants to know what you guys think. My name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories that you guys submit to me on here every single night. So if you like that, hit that follow button. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, my email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Guys, I will get to it. Like, don't worry about that. Send them to me. Don't worry about me not getting them. Send them to me. Other than that, I love you guys so much. Seriously, your support means everything to me. I love you, love you, love you. I'll say it every single time. I need you to do one more thing for me. And what is that? Have a spooky night. Love you guys.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
That's not my mother. So this story happened about 11 years ago. I was a senior in high school at the time, but it is the single most mind-boggling experience I've ever had. It's also important to note that it happened in the middle of December. I'm from Iowa, and the winters here get cold, and it's like that kind of cold, if you get stuck outside, you'll die. That plus snowfall makes everything dead silent. You can hear anything and everything inside the house and even immediately right outside the house. Well, me and my best friend were hanging out in my family's walkout basement, just having a boring winter night playing video games. We were also the only ones home. The reason it was just us is because my mother went from work straight to the bar to grab a few drinks with her coworkers. So me and my friend thought it would be a good idea to break into the family wine cellar and live a little. As we were sitting there opening up the first bottle, I hear the door of the garage open and slam shut. I immediately go, "Oh shit," and start looking for places to hide the bottle. My friend then says, "I thought you said your mom was supposed to be out all night." "She was," I replied. I then heard a few heavy stomps and hear my mother yell out, "Meows and Boo, anyone home?" I yell back up the stairs, "Yep, just hanging out in the basement." I hear a few more steps move from the garage door towards the stairs, and she yells out again, "Can you come up and help me with something? I need you up here." I reply back while frantically trying to find a good place to hide the wine bottle, "Yep, just give me a minute." Then there was silence for about 20 seconds. "Anyone down there with you?" she yelled back in a more concerned, serious tone, in a voice that was slightly off of my mother's. This was the first thing that told me something wasn't right. Our family never cared if anyone was over, as our house was a very open house to all family and friends. And then the voice, it was just wrong. Like, it sounded like my mother's, but it was missing something that I couldn't put my finger on. Weirded out, I replied back, "Just Colton." After I yelled that back to her, I found a good place to hide the bottle, thank God, and began walking up the stairs to the next level. Now, as I was walking up the stairs, I couldn't help but feel the overbearing silence of the house, the slight electricity, that something isn't right. When I got to the top of the steps, I look over to where the door of the garage is, and also the kitchen right next to it, and it's black. Pitch black. All the lights were off. There was no moonlight shining through any of the windows. I walked over to the kitchen yelling, "Mom, where are you?" There was no reply. Just silence and darkness. I feel the electricity turn into full needles. My adrenaline kicking in full force. I have to get out of here as fast as possible. My mother is not home. I run back down the stairs, grabbing my coat along the way. "What's wrong?" Colton says. "My mom's not home," I reply as fast as I can, looking for my truck keys. "What do you mean? You were just talking to her." I could see the confusion in his face. "There is no one home. We need to leave now." I took a few steps towards the back door that opens up to the yard, and then I see my dog shaking on the couch and my cat growling behind it. I couldn't leave them. I just knew that if we left, something would happen. "Are we leaving?" Colton said, still confused as hell. "No, I can't leave them here. Something is really off. I'm going to call my mom and figure this out." I pull out my phone and I call my mom. She picks up immediately. "Meows and Boos, what's going on?" She answers. "Mom, were you just home? I heard you yelling for me from the second level, and when I went up there, you weren't there," I said frantically, hoping that she was just playing a joke. "No, I'm just leaving the bar. I wasn't really feeling very well. Are you doing okay? What do you mean you heard me?" I fill her in on the whole situation. She rushes home. Colton and I stayed in the basement with the animals until she got home. But before she did, you could hear something upstairs. Not walking or sitting on things, but a pressure in the air. Like a black hole was slowly moving from room to room. The word that I could describe it is only as if it was hungry, as if something was hungry and impatient. When she got home, you could feel the thing leave just as quick as it came, like an overbearing predator presence just flown away. We still have never figured out what the hell was going on, and this is just one story of many unexplainable things that has happened to us. But this is the easiest to write down and the one that I was happy to have a witness to. My mother has passed away now, sadly, and I've moved away to Arizona, so very less cold. But whenever I go back to Iowa and I see Colton, he still gets creeped out about what happened that night. I will never truly know what happened, but I know that whatever it was that had my mother's voice, it was evil and it was hungry, and that was not my mother. Good night.